Hey everyone, welcome to our third week of community conversations. Today we're going to welcome Khadija Matin as our guest speaker. And before we do that, I wanted to share some exciting news that this Thursday at 2 p.m., we're actually going to be having an Instagram Live with Kevin Hines, who is one of the most inspiring suicide prevention activists, and he's also a suicide survivor. And we're very honored to have him share his voice with us. So we'll be sending out some flyers and information as soon as we're done with this Instagram Live. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Khadija Matin. Can you request to be in the video, please? There we go. Okay. Hi,
Hey
Khadija.
guys! Hey Yasmin, how are you?
Good, good. Give me 1 second. Okay. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, for those of you watching, I first met Khadija when I was teaching a QPR for the Beautiful Mind Project at UCLA. And she just had this passion and energy to share her voice about mental health awareness and suicide prevention. So I thought that this would be a great opportunity for us to connect. So yeah, let's just jump right in. So do you want to share a little bit about yourself with us?
So my name is Khadija, as you guys know. I'm 18 years old. I am a second year college student, and I am a psych major going into psychology so that I can pursue my career, inshallah, in the future as a mental health advocate and a therapist.
That's awesome. Very like I might be biased because I was also a psych major, but
We gotta
I'm
love those psych majors, man.
yeah,
They're the best. They're the
yeah.
best.
Definitely. So, cool. And I was hoping that you could also start off by just sharing a little bit of your personal story and what brought you towards caring about mental health awareness.
So what brought me closer to caring more and more about mental health awareness is just my own obstacles and kind of the things that I went through, and I saw the struggle in that. And so I've just put the empathy and love and support in my heart for other people because I just know I just like, especially people with similar experiences. Like I get you. You know, I know what you're going through, and I try my best to be as supportive as I possibly can. And it's like through those moments of struggles and pain that allowed me to be more empathetic and continue to be more empathetic, and realize that mental illness and mental health is something that is so important that we need to work towards making it more of an important matter and subject.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I'm sure everyone who's watching and who watches later will agree because we are all a community of mental health advocates. So
Mhm.
so yeah, and then can you also share a defining moment in your life which you think changed you?
Definitely a defining moment in my life which changed me was in the beginning of my high school years. I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, which they don't call it that anymore, but high functioning autism. And the reason that that was really a defining moment for me was because it really truly made me realize that each and every individual person in this world have their own um, battles that they're dealing with, whether it seems invisible to other people or not. It's something that they are going through, and each individual is dealing with something. It just shows that we aren't perfect human beings, and that is something that we're all dealing with. But then it also definitely has enhanced my empathy and opened my heart to understanding that um, that we're all in the same boat and that we're all dealing with something that we should be united in the struggle together.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And yeah, and can you share a little bit more about, I know offline you had mentioned how some people had been like kind of unkind to you and weren't very nice during that time. So like what would you share with someone who is also going through that right now?
I would definitely tell them that those who are unkind to you, those who don't show you the love, the kindness, and respect that you deserve, they're not meant to be in your life. Surround yourself with people who do love and respect you and support you, because they are out there, and I promise you that. I believed myself that I wouldn't be loved, I wouldn't be respected, and I wouldn't be people would not like me because I was different. But I was so proven wrong. The beautiful, beautiful people that have been loving and supporting and kind have come into my life, and I've just been so blessed for them because they've accepted me for who I am. And those are the type of people that will they will come and they will be there for you. And those are the type of people that you need. You don't need um, any haters.
Yeah, and one thing that I'd like to kind of add to that from my perspective is that a lot of times I do think that hurt people, and that it really isn't personal to me if somebody is kind of insulting me or trying to put me down, because who knows what they've gone through.
Right, right. That's another thing. I totally agree with that. Hurt people do hurt people, and that's just going back to what I said previously, is that everyone is dealing with something. So if we just became more open and compassionate about that, that it allows us to show that empathy and compassion that, oh, this person might have gone through something. And I mean, it would explain the behaviors, but it would also allow us to understand that they have gone through something as we all are.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Very wise for your young age.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for sharing. And then I also wanted to hear your thoughts on how your culture and religion has impacted how you view mental health.
Well, we'll start with religion because it's easier to talk about. But for religion, I feel like religion has definitely validated mental health and those struggles, because it's even seen in our religion. I'm Muslim, by the way. I'm Muslim, Afghan American, and so in Islam we've seen stories in our own prophets um, go through many tribulations, the tribulations of prophethood. It's not something that's easy. And our own prophet, Muhammad, peace be upon him, had a whole year of sadness where he mourned the death and loss of his wife and his uncle, and had just kept to himself and isolated himself so that he can process what he was going through. And just that is so validating to know that our religion is so supportive and validates that, because it's something that I can definitely hold on to, and religion is something that I firmly I firmly believe.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that faith can really play a part in one's journey and resilience and coping. So, um, thank you for that. And then, can you touch upon a little bit about the culture and how culture impacts mental health in your experience?
Well, in my experience, I feel like the way culture impacted mental health is that we're so in our culture, we're so wrapped up in just status and the way that people see us, and how we're seen as different if we have something that we're dealing with and we're going to go get help for it. It's seen as something that's like, not really cool, or just that something is wrong with you, because we're always on and with culture we're always on this journey of trying to be better than one another, rather than being there for one another. And it's just that constant struggle, and it's mental illness and getting support for mental health is brushed under the rug. And so if we just kind of work towards getting rid of that stigma and making it an important conversation that needs to be talked about, and work on it in our own misconceptions that we have about it, then I feel like we can get to a better place of bringing more awareness and acceptance to mental health in our own communities. Just continuously having those conversations, especially with youth and teens, so that it can start early, and we can get it to go moving forward and spread that awareness and importance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to want the audience to know that so you're speaking from your Afghan culture.
Yes.
Your community, but it's very relatable to even myself, like I'm from a Pakistani community, and it's just so interesting how there's so many similarities on how expressing one's vulnerability can just be swept under the rug, and
Right.
you're expected to just keep going and be strong and just or be strong.
Yeah, but definitely, I really definitely feel like that mentality has come from our ancestors and our parents and our grandparents, because they were immigrants, and so there's that post-generational trauma of them just leaving everything they left behind to come for a new life, and so that it's like you mentioned before offline, that there's a lot of unlearning to do, that they have came from a they came from war-torn countries and sort of had to put this persona and this way of living, because it was an act of survival for them, and so it did work for them. But it's like, if we keep holding on to those ways, it's not helping us anymore, and so the unlearning has to be done, and we have to start to open up those wounds, even though it's so painful and it hurts, but to open up those wounds and start working on them, for deep rooted wounds, working on them so that we can grow better healing and get to a place where we can all continuously heal.
Definitely. And the reason why I really like these conversations is because, like, all of us here, I feel like in some way we're breaking the cycle, regardless of where we came from. We're just creating new ways of living and being more accepting and empathetic to our mental and emotional needs, just like we would do for our physical needs. So
Right.
I really appreciate that. Um, and my next question for you is a little different, but not so much. And it's, if you had a magic wand and you could change one thing in the world, what would it be?
If I had a magic wand, I would definitely put more love and acceptance in this world. Because if we had more love in our hearts for one another, and acceptance, and just saw past our differences and rather connected on our similarities of being human beings, then I feel like we would be more in tune to one another and realize that whatever it is that we're going through, we can all go through together. And just realizing that you have everyone to support you, and everyone in a utopian society, everyone to support and love you, is that then you will truly not feel alone, because we'll all have that similar battle that we'll all be fighting together.
Oh, yeah, no, I definitely wish that we could live that way. Sorry about the phone. I don't know why my grandparents have a landline. Like, and I asked them if they could please answer it during my please answer the phone. Oh, now she's coming in. Okay, 1 second. One moment. Let me just give this to her. Instagram live, Debbie. Okay. Now, everything that no matter how much I plan, something always has to go wrong. But you know what? I think that's life. And
Exactly.
it's not a big deal.
It isn't. And it's like it gives us the opportunity to keep having these conversations. So we could just like drive it home and be like, listen, you guys, this is what's important. Open up your ears.
Exactly. Okay. Anyways, back to this. So, you were talking about love, and so how do you think that our community, someone said they love my grandma. So how do you think that our communities would, okay, how would our communities look different if more people were a part of these, like, mental health trainings and education? Like, I feel like there's so many opportunities out there, but not everyone invests that time. So
Right. And I totally agree with you because it even like me being a mental health advocate, I'm constantly searching for like workshops and mental health conversations, but it's so sad to me because I can't really find it anywhere. I mean, with quarantine starting, that's definitely one of the pros that I've seen from like quarantine was that those kind of conversations have been able to be more easily accessible and people are actually having them because we're all dealing with something. Being in quarantine has made us realize that we're feeling alone, we're feeling isolated, we're feeling like there's so much going on, we're overwhelmed, we're anxious, we don't know what's happening. So I feel like it really opened up those doors because everyone is going through a united thing, and it opened up those doors to having more of those conversations. And I was lucky enough to be a part of a suicide prevention conversation, which I was so it was just so awesome for it to be available on QPR, and it was just something that I just learned more about suicide prevention and talking about mental health and the importance of it. So if we had more resources in our community, we continuously had these conversations like we should, then it just makes it even more and more easier to talk about. Because
mhm.
if we put it out there and allow people to understand that there is nothing wrong about talking about these things, that this is what we should be talking about, that it's there to support us, it's there to bring awareness to the battles and struggles that we may all be dealing with, especially for those who are afraid to speak up against about it because of the stigma and the fear that they have of feeling judged. That if we continuously put it out there in our communities put free resources or have those conversations, especially with youth and teens, then it will allow those who are struggling to get the help that they need, because it's the stigma and the judgment that stops those, especially those who need it, to get the support that they need. So just more available resources, more conversations around it, and realizing that it's something very important. Mental awareness, mental health awareness, and emotional well-being is something really important to have a conversation about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love what you shared about the quarantine kind of connecting us in a way too, because I've noticed that more people are open and interested in learning about mental health because it affects everyone in some way. Even if
Right.
you don't have a mental illness, you probably know somebody who does, like a family member, a friend, or a community member. And so it's something which just connects us all. But I do think that there are many resources, but it's despite the interest, it's still kind of a challenge for me to sometimes fill up the QPR trainings or get people to want to invest like 6 hours in a mental health first aid training. So that's just something that I'm personally working on, like as youth programs director, in how to get as many people as possible trained.
Right.
So I really do think that conversations like this, though, really um, cause that like ripple effect where even just one person attending something and referring their friend and then they tell someone, it slowly builds over time. So I do have hope.
Same. I definitely agree with you in that. It's that those sessions, that the reason why I feel like not many people come to it is because of that fear of judgment. But I do have hope, because if we have one or two or even three, just minimal amount, that word, it's definitely a ripple effect. It will spread because those people are passionate about it and they will talk about the importance to it to their family members and their friends, and then they'll even get those who are already so passionate about it but afraid to talk about it to be like, oh, see, I have people who support me and that I don't feel more alone. So that
Mm-hmm.
I definitely 100% agree with you.
Yeah. I also wanted to share, because earlier I was sharing that Kevin Hines will be speaking with us on Thursday. And so when I was in college in like 2014, I just randomly went to this mental health event where I hadn't ever heard of Kevin Hines. And then he shared his story about how he had jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and survived. And now he goes out and advocates for, like, to help save lives and make people feel less alone. And I didn't know that me just going and attending that event planted a seed in me, which didn't bloom until all these years later when I started working at NAMI, where I'm like, wait a second, like, I remember his story. And that was very validating. So I just really do think that, like, sometimes we focus so much on the numbers, like, oh,
Yeah.
how many people did we train? How many people came to the class? But
Right.
it really is about the quality rather than the quantity.
Right. Right. That's really inspiring. Thank you for sharing that. That definitely is inspiring. It's about taking that first. That reminds me that it's about taking that first step and not realizing that you will get the benefits of that later on, even if it like just about having that patience and realizing that the benefits of that will come later on.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you for helping me like think of that. I cannot speak. I'm just like,
Okay.
Instagram Live gives me anxiety, but you know what? We're just gonna like keep pushing through every week because it's these conversations are important, and yeah, okay, cool. So as we're as we're coming to a close, I wanted to ask if you could share one of your favorite quotes with us that kind of keeps you going despite the difficult times that you face.
Well, it's one of my favorite quotes that I love, and I might butcher a little bit, but it's by Rumi, and it's like the pain you feel has messages. Listen to them. I might have butchered it, but um, the reason why I really love that quote so much is because if we take the moment to sit in our pain and become more aware of what it is that we are going through, that we'll realize that it's all for a reason, that it all has a purpose, that it's what we go through that allows us to continue to grow and get to a place where we ultimately want to be. And nobody said that growth was easy. Nobody said that um, defining yourself and becoming a better individual and a better person said it was going to be easy. It takes patience, it takes time, and it takes a lot of effort, but it's so worth it. So realizing that there's meaning behind the pain, there's the messages, the purpose of it isn't just there to cause you pain. And I want to remind everyone here that I know what it like whatever you guys are going through, that it's momentarily, it's not permanent, and it's all for a good reason. And I try to remind myself even that every single day, that what it is that I go through is happening for a reason, and it's going to make me and shape me to be a better individual each and every day. And so as painful as it is, I know that it's going to be worth it in the end.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that Rumi quote too. Is that from The Guest House?
I
Rumi.
think so. That's another really good one. The guest house, that's a very beautiful quote. Just talking about just how we have all these different emotions and feelings residing within us, and that we should accept them, because if we try to ignore them or try to resist them, then it's just going to cause us more pain. So it's about acceptance rather than resistance. That's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Easier said than done sometimes, right?
Oh, yes. That's why I said growth is not easy, growth is painful, but it's all worth it. A diamond doesn't become a diamond without going through the face of a rock first.
Oh, love it. You're so positive. Like, I'm so
High
happy that
five.
we had this conversation. But yeah, and I'm going to make a confession right now to everyone because I need to be my authentic self. Is that I really, one of the reasons I admire Khadija's bravery and courage for having this conversation is because this is the second time she's doing this, because I accidentally did the whole Instagram live on my personal Instagram instead of the NAMI San Fernando one. And she was so kind enough to do it all over again. So I think it just goes back to the whole, well, we didn't talk about this in this conversation offline, but self-compassion, where we all will mess up and that's okay. I feel like it's what unites us.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like I mentioned before, just continuously having this conversation, and even multiple times a day, driving that point home and be like, listen, people, mental health is important. Mental awareness is what we need more of. So I can have this conversation a million times a day.
Oh gosh, I just feel bad. Like, hopefully, I mean, because I know people might have been waiting at what's it, like 12 o'clock, but they can watch the recording. So,
Yeah,
we
after
live
the
and we
first one, I
learn.
was gonna go relax and breathe. I'm just like, oh, finally this live is done. I'm just like, oh yes, I get to have the conversation again.
So I really want to thank you, Khadija, for rolling with it, and I want to thank everybody who tuned in and everyone who was confused earlier and was like, "What?" So after all of that, like pushing and advertising, so yeah. Okay. Any last words?
No, I don't have any last words. Thank you for having me today, Yasmin. Really appreciate you, even if it was for the second time. You know, continue having this conversation. It's important, and I just wish all of you the best. And I hope that you guys continue to be yourselves and be amazing individuals that you all are. Love you all. Love you all.
Oh, and feel free to reach out to Khadija if you want to connect with her or have more conversations. She's very open. Someone said spreading the word to your personal account followers.
Exactly, Yasmin. There, see, all your personal account followers will get the message too now. You know?
Oh, okay. Well, on that beautiful note, we will see you all in July for our July series and hope to see you Thursday in our conversation with Kevin Hines. Alrighty, thank you, Khadija and everyone.
Oh, someone said, what an awesome duo. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
Yasmin is an
take care.
inspiration.
Thank you. Bye.